Good evening, all you bandits out there. Welcome to part 5 of the Intro to Trading series. We're going to talk about evening prep. I'm going to rush and get into this. I'm short timed. I just don't like continuing to push off doing the videos. I do want to get them out there. So this is going to get them out there. Sorry, I had my own video playing in the background. I cut that out. Not sure if you guys could hear it, but if that was the case, sorry for the audio issues. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and hit this. So next video in the series is starting right now. Welcome. I am Gator, and welcome to the swamp. All right, guys, so over the last couple of videos, we've talked about setups, we've talked about levels, we've talked about the buy setups, we've talked about context, and now we're going to talk about finding that context the night before. We're going to use the last 2 days and the two different names that I've traded on Friday and on Monday. Let's go back and let's look at Friday in Meta to start. So Friday, April 3rd. And we're going to get that context. And then I'm going to show you what I do the night before or what I try to do the night before. So let's see. April 3rd was Friday, correct? Or not April 3rd, I'm sorry. I'm on 15 minute. I need to look at hourly. Daily. Hopefully I can still jump over to these. All right. So let's take a look. On the last video, we're doing meta now because on the previous video, we talked about it and the trade that we called out and how we did it. So now how we traded it. Now we're going to look at what Friday's trade was. So Friday's trade is right here. We were watching, or I'd say I was watching in the pre-market meta, and we gave a call idea for it. Oh, here we go. Sorry, wrong day. That's the day we traded last time. This is now where we're at on Friday. So you remember this pivot line being important. This is a chart that I would have looked at the night before and I would have said, okay, so this happened the previous day, came in, and now we're right here. So at the night before, I would have, let me delete this stuff. Let me delete this if I can. If these will delete, there we go. I'll delete both of these drawings. The night before, I have a video out there on my channel that says my evening routine, and it talks about Fab 4 boxes. And there's some other videos on YouTube about it. If you look it up, Fab 4 boxes, I'll go into that at a later time. But it's basically the last 45 minutes of a day, and the box needs to encompass the last 45 minutes, the 21 EMA, and the 200 EMA. So you're looking for that, and those shows compression or expansion. So I'll come into my charts, and I'll look at the pattern that I traded or that I noticed in the name the day before. We talked about this in the last video, and I'll see where we're at now. And then I will create a possible idea for the next day. For instance, if I was looking at this chart, and this was tonight, and we had closed here, I would draw this, and I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to look for Meta to open up and possibly put in a higher pivot low somewhere around the 200. If we catch a bounce, I'll take it and it'll rip. If it goes to the downside, I don't like it short unless it breaks 217.81, because that's your previous very important power support pivot. What up, Rose? You're welcome. So the night before, or I'm looking at that, and we're gonna do this tonight, but I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. So now we open up. Pre-market, I see where Meta's at. What do I notice? I notice, okay, we're at the important pivot from the day before. So when I come on Zoom in the morning, I'm like, hey, these are the names I'm looking at. What I'm usually doing if I had time the night before is I'm looking at what I did the previous night, what I looked at, and I'm looking if the names fit into any type of strategy that I would like to play. So a name opening up near a key support level is a tradable idea. So we called Meta early. Why did we call it early? Why did I take it early? Because we opened up at a support level off of a name that gave us a high probability win with a target move to the upside The 200 was the first because it's coming into the top of the Fab 4 box. The 2-minute 200 is a very often resistance, so I'm definitely taking profits into that. And then at this point, the trade is financed. Another reason I take this trade is because you have a very tight stop. If it can't hold the 1780, this power pivot where we got the bounce off of 3 times, and you're coming down and you're going to fill the gap to the downside. So then you have a short. So you have an idea that has now been set up because you spent a little bit of time kind of studying your charts beforehand, and you can see, you know, where you're at and what happened the day before. And so you just kind of continue that story day to day to day. So you say, okay, this is what happened yesterday. We opened up right here. I'm watching Meta long at the open. For me, I did not take the 1 minute. I actually took the 2 minute. You can see the 1 minute went through. I took somewhere in the 1 minute. It was the 1 minute and the 2 minute were the same. So the 2 minute breakout didn't happen. I took that as it started ticking up and called that live. I'm not going to rehash that trade, but sold some here, and then sold some here. And those lines that you saw earlier were a measured move and a fib move. So I'm not going to get into that too much, at least for this video. The idea is pre-evening prep for a plan on this video. So we've talked about strategies, we've talked about entering, we've talked about some of that stuff. And so now it's putting it together. So this was the trade from Friday. And you notice you had your pattern from the previous day, all these things put together, and then you implemented your C strategy or your entry strategy first thing when it happened. Like, okay, this is my idea. Hypothesis has been proven. I'm looking at or theory. I'm looking at a trade. I have a 2 and done up. I have clear entry points or exit points, and I have a clear stop loss. All right, this is a good trade. I'm going to take it. You take the trade. It worked. You know, there you go. Let's flip to the other side now. Let's go to today. Let's go to Microsoft. All right, so no, this is not Microsoft. Let's go to Microsoft. Let's look at today. So actually somebody else called this out in Discord, and I appreciate they were in the Zoom call this morning. They said, what about Microsoft? And I was like, I do like that. And why did I like that? It wasn't a name that I was looking at from the previous day, especially not to the upside. It really wasn't something I had been trading, but they brought it to my attention, and I looked. I was like, and I just caught this in the pre-market. And I said, okay, well, you're above resistance or right at resistance if you want to do something like this. So, and you can see this is no like secret, whatever. You can just see, look, there's some topping stuff here. So if we hold this at the open, and if you want to zoom out a little bit more, there's like a clear line there. So it's like, you know what? If at the open, because we are right above that, you catch a bid early, I'm going to take Microsoft long if we hold this line at the open. And I called that out. I said when I entered, and that's how you come up with the plan. And it's really that simple. And it's not that simple as in it's always that easy. You actually have to learn to trust what you see. But when somebody brought something to the attention, it's like, oh, is the name above resistance? Okay, it is. How does the name open up in the morning? We look at it. It opens up above, right above resistance. It holds it, and then it starts ticking up on this third 2-minute candle, so about 5 minutes in. And if we were to jump over to a 5-minute chart, you can see what it looks like. And if you're asking for targets, Kelly talks about this in the video we do when we, that's not the one. We talk about different targets here. I'd have to zoom in and draw that one and zoom out, but I'll usually draw a fib line. I'll do something like this on the 2-minute to get a target, and then I'll just take profits as it explodes. Because of what the market did, I didn't actually hold this one, and I got stopped out of it. So I wanted to show this one because I actually got stopped out, and it didn't run like the meta trade. So this is why taking profits are important. So let's see if I can zoom out a little bit. So here's your 127. It almost hit. So you can see the 127 fib extension was 291.64, 64 cents. The opening push was to 291.60 cents, so it missed by 4 cents. I started taking profit. You've got another big top here, overhead area, and the market was coming in. So context matters, and your names aren't always going to run. You have to take profits on the way up. At least in my opinion, you have to take profits on the way up. So what I was looking at here was a name that opened up above the level, held it, and it's like, okay, well, I have a pretty quick stop if I'm right or if I'm wrong. If it comes down and it breaks lower, I'm just going to get out of it. I'll go trade something else. There were some other names setting up, but yeah, I think this is a good risk reward place to take the trade. I took it, caught, you know, at most, if you're trading common from when we called it out, right about as it started to take out, it was like 89.80 or so, I started getting in it, and then it, you know, comes up higher. It sold about half of it into, I actually think, a 91.30 or 91.40. That second push is where I sold, and then you're coming back down and got stopped out of the other half. So you can get stopped out. We're going to talk about risk management in another short video, but this is what you want to look for over and over as you learn to trade. And I'm not going into every pattern, falling wedge, you know, all this different stuff, but as you learn to trade, as you spend time on YouTube with other people, watching and learning patterns that you can recognize, you spend time at night and you'll find names that you like to trade. So if there was something like, you know, I mean, there's not much here in Tesla that I like right now, but I could sit here and I could zoom out in something like Tesla, and I do this in my one video. I take the last 45 minutes and I say, it's going to be roughly that. Tesla's in a fairly extended state with earnings and stuff. I don't know. I don't really like it. You've got a range bound, so unless you break out, you're going to probably get more stuff like this. You know, it pays. It pays well, but there's not necessarily a strategy that I'm looking for here. You're just in the middle, waiting for earnings. It looks like it could go in either direction. You know, if I was just looking at this just straight up like this. If it breaks out to the upside, you can say, hey, if you can get through 88 and it gets really good earnings, we could push into the 190s, and, you know, who knows. But I'll do this in most of the names I look at. If I've been trading a name a lot, I've been spending a lot of time trading a name. Meta, looks interesting on the day or on the hourly. Interesting on the daily. It's been running up. I wonder if it needs a break. It broke down and held the lows. Let's take a look at the 2-minute. Let's see where we're at. This actually looks fairly compressed. We came in some at the end of the day. The last roughly 45 minutes are going to look like that. Here's your range. Here's the pivot. This is held, but we actually broke lower this time. 2-wave corrective. So I see Meta as a, I mean, it could do anything. I don't know. Maybe it's going to open up here. You know, if I'm looking at this and I'm like, if Meta opens up anywhere around this area and the market's weak, I think Meta's a short tomorrow. So just looking at the chart like this, I think you've got room to actually try and test and break through 1781, and maybe we push down lower and we try to push back down into this. If you're going to take this price zone, and we're going to come into the 212s and 210s. I don't know what the market's going to do tomorrow, but I start creating ideas based off of patterns, based off of, you know, you educating yourself, and then if I have an idea that I like, and I wake up the next morning and I am looking at the charts 30 minutes before the market opens, I see where price is at relative to your Fab 4 box, relative to whatever pattern is being developed on your chart. If you're in the T3 room and you listen to JR and he talks about different levels that are key and you have those levels marked on your chart, you have those levels marked, you have whatever you want to use from whatever chat room you're in. And then you formulate a plan yourself that you understand, that you know what's going to happen. And then if you want to test that off of other people, if you want to test it off me, off other people that trade, like, hey, I see this pattern developing. Do you think this looks like, what do you think this looks like? It's like, well, look at this hourly short here. So, you know, if Meta can't hold, obviously that's blocking it. But if, you know, Meta can't hold this, look at that hourly bar. Like, I wonder if this is a lot of topping candles in here. I wonder if this is setting up for a sell setup. Right now, it just looks like it's in the mid-range. It's kind of piddling in the middle. There's not much, but you might get a sell setup tomorrow morning. What if we open up tomorrow? What if we open up tomorrow towards right here at the beginning of this box, and we get an opportunity for a short down to the 217s again to see if we can bust through that low? It's an idea, and then it's something else to look on the day. Even if you miss the first strategy, but the name is really weak and it's setting up for a short, you just kind of have that in your mind. Like, oh, I looked at this chart last night. I kind of thought it was going to be a short. You know, let's see what other names I can throw up. So I'll go through every night and have a video doing this where I'll sit there on names I'm trading or names that I might like. And a lot of days I don't like anything. I don't have to necessarily have a plan. I can be like, I like 1 or 2 names. And that's it. That same day on Friday, I liked NVIDIA. For a bounce, I didn't end up playing NVIDIA. If we go back to Friday, the 14th, because it opened up down here. And if you guys remember and you were in the room, I said, hey, we're near these lows. If you hold, watch for a bounce, you know, just because of where you're at down here. This is where it was opening pre-market when I started talking. It tested lower and then, reversed long. I said, hey, if you hold up early and the market rallies, watch for a pop in NVIDIA I actually said 295.25. I was wrong. It was actually kind of came down to, obviously here, 68.82. I probably could have moved that level down to the top of this as opposed to this previous level. So my level wasn't perfect, which it never is. You just have to take profits on the way to your target. But that same idea, it's like, oh, we're opening up near support. Okay, so if the market bounces, what am I looking for? I'm looking for it to go in that direction. I just need to pay attention. So I didn't trade NVIDIA there. I actually ended up taking Meta instead. But if you look at this, and this is a 2-minute chart, what do you have? You have it holding up. You have a, 2 and done off of a support level. Inside candle above the 21, 2-minute green takes red. And same thing there. And if you were to go to the 1 minute, you would probably have something. If you go to the 5 minute, look at your 5-minute setup here. You have a 5-minute breakout and a push higher. Same thing. Going into that 5-minute 200, that's almost always your, always get out at the 5-minute 200 in my opinion. That's just me. So when I'm looking at charts, that's what I'm looking for at night. I'm also looking on different time frames. So if we go to Meta, and I'm sorry that this isn't perfectly organized as far as my thought process. I've had sick kids for a while. I'll look at where the moving averages are overall across multiple time frames. So where's the 5-minute 200? 5-minute 200 is going to be, right here tomorrow when it opens up around 1950. So if Meta opens up below 1950, I think it's a pretty good short. If it can't get over that 5-minute 200 early tomorrow, it's a good chance I short Meta. Or that I look for it for an opportunity. There might be a name that looks better than Meta. If it's opening up above it, there might be a chance we try to push a little bit higher, but this looks kind of weak to me. I'd look at the hourly. I would look at the daily. Not that I put the same amount of emphasis. We're getting kind of tight here. Not that I put the exact same amount of emphasis on all time frames, but I just want to see where I'm at on everything and what are the possibilities of what something can do. Meta's been riding the 8 on the daily all the way up. Well, where's the 8? 1654. All right, so let's look at 1654 again. Just 1654 is going to be somewhere around here. So what you could really look for is by the time it gets here on the day, you could look for a test tomorrow of the upper part of this range. We've almost tested it, so let's see if we can come in and hit it tomorrow. I'll start looking at stuff like that, and I'll put these things together to create an idea that then tomorrow when I wake up, I can act on if something is setting up where I want it, how I want it. I'm like, okay, now I'm looking for the strategies. If you go back to the strategy video, I'm looking for one of those to set up. I'm looking for the proper context. I'm looking for what the market is doing overall. Is the market tanking? Well, then I want to go long something right now. Like, even if it works, I might want to, my risk reward might be off a little bit. We'll talk about risk reward in another video. But so you start putting all that stuff together, and it's going to help you create a plan the night before. Something short, something simple. You should be able to take a notebook like this and write it down. And, really easy, really small notebook on your computer. I think handheld notes are better than typed notes. Something that simple. Then test it. Test it every day. Start getting confidence in what you're seeing. Go back and review it the day before. Was I right? Was I wrong? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? Okay. And then you grow. You're not going to start off doing this right all the time. It might take you a year or 2 years. It might take you time to do it. Don't gamble the house because you think you see something. Take a look at it. Take some time. Start practicing, start putting this stuff together so you can start building that skill. Don't just rely on me. Don't just rely on anybody else that you trade with in any chat room. Learn independent yourself. Even if somebody else's ideas are great, see how they play and see why they play that way. Doing it the night before, doing something as simple as this, recognizing where things are at, like NVIDIA, realizing if things are in an expanded state or a contracted state. Go back and watch the video. I put it in this playlist of me and Kelly talking about expanded states and contracted states. Where is it at? Where are your moving averages at? What pattern is playing out on the daily? Are you just in a chop range like this? So what happens in the video tomorrow? If, you know, what happens if we open up lower, you know, and we were like right about here? Where? What's the market doing? Context. So what if the market is just tanking and the market starts tanking, the video is holding up, then it starts coming down? Where can you expect it to come? Hey, maybe it's going to test the bottom of the range. Maybe I don't take it early, but it kind of pulls down and then I get a good sell setup and then I can take it lower. I don't know. Maybe NVIDIA holds up right up above this line and the market starts going. It's like, okay, I mean, NVIDIA's expanded. It might need a little bit of a pull in first. But so if NVIDIA opens up right here tomorrow at like 69 bucks in the mid 69 area, we get a little bit of a falling wedge. If you know your patterns or whatever, maybe it pulls down a little bit and we get a nice pop early. And maybe it holds this like Microsoft did the first day. And we get a nice rip early up to about 72 bucks. And then I take half or 2/3 off and maybe I keep a runner, maybe I don't. But we at least get to the mid part of, you know, the mid range of this channel. We're playing at the bottom of it right now. I don't know if this is going to be a distribution top or accumulation structure, and we're going to go higher, but we're towards the bottom right now. So if we hold up above 290, you know, that 269, there's a good chance you're going to test 273 tomorrow, 272. Just my opinion, sitting here looking at a chart. I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's now another idea. So tomorrow morning when I get on Zoom, what am I going to do? I'm going to be like, okay, NVIDIA, where is it at? Meta, where is it at? This stuff's where is it at? Is this actionable? And then I'm going to look for the setups when we get started that, like we talked about in the previous videos, that give me an opportunity with good risk reward to take a trade, to put myself in a winning position so I can start the day off right. And then whether I make a lot or not, you know, even if I miss names, there are names when it's like I called this out, I like these names, I missed it, but I had the right idea. I'm barking up the right tree. I'm seeing what I think I should see. My perception of the market is right. Like if I have 7 calls, you know, they're kind of working. It's like, okay, I'm seeing the right stuff. I got some confidence in myself, even if maybe I mistraded a little bit or I didn't take that setup and I took a different setup. So that's what I do every night. Well, I say every night. That's what I do. I should do every night. And that is what I try to do every night. Spend 15, 20 minutes just running through my charts, looking at where things are at. You know, it looks like the market had a late rally. I wasn't able to trade later this afternoon, family reasons. But looks like right now the market, most of these names are kind of extended to the upside. And you're at the top of a range. If we open up flat, there's a good chance, you know, if they can't break out early, you're going to get a pull in most of these names just quickly looking at them. And if for whatever reason the market is running and is going to continue to run, then I'm just going to be looking for the upper parts of these ranges to be tested. I'll look for Microsoft to hold up and test the highs around 85 and 90. You know, you can draw a channel here, probably like a channel. So I would expect Microsoft to test the upper range and try to break out tomorrow. Down, I could actually see this in 2 ways. One is something like that, like this. So, you know, and I'll do stuff like this sometimes. I'll sit here and draw, and maybe everything I draw is wrong. That's fine. It's practice, right? And if you want to get good at this, you need to practice. So I'll sit here and I'll try to figure out, you know, where things are going, where they could go. And I'm not really doing anything here. This is kind of just poopy. But something like that. That's not really great. But I'll be like, huh, okay, well, we're doing this, we're doing this. I actually could see we're in the middle right now. If you can't get above, maybe if you open up a little bit higher and you can't get above here, there's a good chance you come back down and you test and you got to find support, got to see where buyers are at. If we were opening up right here and we open up weak tomorrow, this could come up. You could get your pop. If you don't pop, you could have a 2-wave corrective back down to 283.65 or maybe a slightly higher pivot low. And so I think, okay, that's what I'm looking at. Let's go to bed. And I don't spend a lot of time on it unless I'm just having fun. And I just do that over and over and over. Get up the next morning, pre-market, check it out about 9 o'clock, look at the different names to see where they're at and what I wrote down in my book, or what I know I was thinking the night before. And then I take, if anybody else throws out names, they're like, oh, FSLR is up big, let me check that out, you know. And killer call out today for the guys who played this and called it out, absolutely money, you know. And it's like, okay, I'm going to trade that. You know, I get ideas from other people and then I look at them and I'll just trade them based on, you know, if you're talking about names that work within a strategy, when a name is in a breakout, you had FSLR today with your, you know, there's your first entry, you don't really have a pullback till here. Here's your next one. At this point, you're so extended, but you're just running up all day in the name. There's your first 21 test, or near the 21 test if you're looking for an entry. So if you're just waiting for a 2-minute 21, there's the closest to it. There's your move. So you do have those setups that still work on these breakouts. There's your first 1-minute 21 test. So I'm just looking for stuff like that every night, and then I'm trying to put it together in the ways I talked about in the previous videos. So I hope this was helpful. If you guys hung out this long, I didn't say it at the beginning, but like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. It helps the channel. Helps me know that this stuff is kind of useful, and I'm not just blabbering. So it's just my opinion, just the way that I do things. If it's something you like, you're free to leave a like and all that. I'll catch you guys later this week. I'll be on tomorrow morning, and then we can kind of continue to put this stuff together. And whether or not, I think the next video may be on a little bit of pre-market prep, or it'll be on risk management. So risk management's an interesting topic. Maybe we'll do something on that. If not this week, maybe next week. So just be on the lookout for the next videos. I appreciate the support, guys, and I'll see you all next time.